In the quiet village of Kiboko, surrounded by tall baobab trees and red earth roads, lived a curious girl named Amina. Amina was 10 years old, with big eyes that noticed everything and questions that never stopped. She lived with her grandmother, Bibi Zawadi, a kind and wise old woman known in the village for her stories and knowledge. Bibi Zawadi had silver hair, a laugh that warmed hearts, and a special way of teaching lessons without ever raising her voice. One hot afternoon, after helping Bibi sweep the yard and feed the chickens, Amina asked, "Bibi, why don't we ever go inside that small hut behind the mango tree?" Bibi looked up and smiled. "That hut holds something very special, Amina. Something old, something wise." "What is it?" Amina asked, her eyes wide with wonder. "Come," said Bibi. "You are ready to see it." They walked to the hut. It was made of mud and straw with a faded cloth hanging over the doorway. Inside, it was cool and dark. In the middle stood a tall, dusty mirror with a carved wooden frame. Lions, elephants, giraffes, and birds seemed to walk along the wood like they were alive. "This," Bibi said, "is Kio Cha Ukweli, the mirror of truth." Amina stepped closer and saw her face staring back. "It shows your reflection," she said. Bibi shook her head gently. "Not just your face. It shows what kind of person you are inside. But it only works if you ask it a question from the heart." Amina's heart thumped. "What do you mean?" "It won't give you words," Bibi explained. "It gives you pictures, memories, moments, and you must learn from what you see." That night, Amina couldn't sleep. Her mind kept thinking about the mirror. Was it really magic? Or just old village talk? Quietly, she tiptoed out of bed and slipped into the hut. She stood before the mirror, the moonlight shining through the roof. She whispered, "Mirror of truth, am I a good person?" The mirror shimmered. Amina gasped. First, she saw herself laughing with her brother, Baraka, helping him carry firewood when he was tired. Then she saw herself sharing her cassava chips with a girl at school who had nothing to eat. But then, the images changed. She saw herself ignoring Mama Chiku when she asked for help at the market. She saw herself snapping at her friend Nima just because she lost a game. Amina felt her eyes sting. The mirror didn't lie. It didn't hide the good or the bad. The next morning, Amina told Bibi Zawadi what she saw. Her grandmother hugged her and said, "You are learning something very important, my dear. Being good isn't something you are all the time. It's something you choose to be, every single day." From that day, Amina visited the mirror often. Not because she wanted to feel proud, but because she wanted to grow. She asked, "Was I kind today? Did I listen before speaking? Did I help someone without being asked?" Each time, the mirror showed her memories that helped her understand herself better. Sometimes she smiled, sometimes she felt sad, but always she learned. Soon, her friends noticed that Amina was different. She was more patient, more thoughtful. When they asked her why, she told them about the mirror of truth. At first, they laughed. "A mirror can't teach you anything," said Nima. But one day, after a big argument, Nima followed Amina to the hut. She stood before the mirror and asked, "Why do I always get angry?" The mirror showed her scenes from her past, times when people didn't listen to her, when she felt small and ignored. Nima started to cry. "It's okay," Amina said gently. "Now you understand. That's the first step." Word spread, and soon many children came to the mirror. Each child asked a different question, and each one learned something new about themselves. Years passed. Amina grew up. She became a teacher in Kiboko village. But she didn't just teach numbers and words. She taught her students to ask questions from their hearts. She taught them to think about their choices. The mirror of truth stayed in the little hut behind the mango tree. It waited patiently for any child brave enough to ask it an honest question, and it always answered, without words, without judgment. Just the truth.